Hello and welcome to our Game of Thrones recap series. This is the final episode, The Dragon and the Wolf. We'll be recapping that today. I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm John.
And today we've got a lovely special guest with us, haven't we? Our producer, our host of our normal show. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joe.
Joe.
It took all season for Winter to get here in Game of Thrones. It's took me all season to appear on this show.
It has. We've been asking you all season, haven't we? But
yep. I thought I'd come for the big finale. Bring the big guns out for the last episode.
You're like the snow that turns up on King's Landing at the very end. And Jamie's like, oh my God.
All right, well, fantastic. We've got finally got you on anyway. Happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show, the finale.
Cool. So I'll just tell you what I'm sure you've listened to it, but basically what I do, I'll go through scene for scene, and if there's anything you want to say, just butt right in and just say your stuff.
Great.
Right. If you're all right if we just get straight into this?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Fantastic. Let's go. Right. So we start off this episode with the shot of the Unsullied army. It starts off with Grey Worm, and you see the Unsullied army outside of King's Landing, don't we?
Yep.
Before it goes up to Bronn, ordering people about on the wall. I think he tells someone to get like an extra 500 barrels of oil. I think they're basically getting ready for war, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like, oh, how many barrels have you got? 500. Get 500 more.
And then the Dothraki. Well, actually, I think there's a conversation between Jaime and Bronn about cocks and stuff. It's the whole thing.
It's the whole what are you fighting for if you've not got a cock?
Essentially, yeah.
It's all cocks in the end, I think they end up saying. All comes down to cocks. It's all cocks in the end. But I've seen a few people today actually using that as a metaphor for the show. Is it all just going to come down to it's just all a load of cocks? That's all the show's about, basically, at the end of it. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. They have that conversation. Then the Dothraki come in, join the Unsullied, and they're basically shitting themselves like, we're never winning against these, are we?
It's great seeing when you saw them all come in.
Yeah, that was great, yeah. I mean, just talking like that now, like this is what I feel about Unfulfilled Promise. Like, it started off so well. You're thinking, oh, shit's going down now, and it never does. You know what I mean? It's just...
I think like, we see the Unsullied and the Dothraki, and we don't see them again, do we?
No,
throughout the entire episode.
They wasted 1,000 barrels of oil getting all nice and pots and stuff, and they never used them.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it was good how they showed the scale, though. Like, they showed a massive scale.
Yeah, it looked great. Yeah.
It did, yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, obviously, it will lead somewhere, but now isn't the time for it.
Yeah.
So they're not going to give you the big
reveal.
No.
Yeah.
This is almost like a lead-up season to the last season.
Yeah, I definitely feel... I mean, we'll get to that at the end of the episode. We'll give our thoughts on the season as a whole, but I agree with that.
I'll just mention on this bit as well, one thing I mentioned last night watching it. If I had that Dothraki army with me, I'd keep them well away from the White Walkers. The last thing you want is, like, White Walker Dothrakis. You know what I mean? Like, Can you imagine that? That'd be terrifying.
I mean, are you sure like there'd be any different to any other White Walker Dothraki?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because they all just look dead.
Yeah, they'd be better to have the sides, jumping on horseback.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, God, can you imagine an army of, like, Dothraki, undead Dothraki on horseback? Terrifying.
That's what I'm thinking.
I see what you're saying. I get
Keep them away from the White Walkers.
Yeah,
let
definitely.
the shitty Unsullied go first.
You go back to where you came from.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go from that scene to it's basically Tyrion, Jon, Davos. They're on a boat. They're obviously going to King's Landing. I think there's got a loads of the Iron Fleet blocking away. I don't know what the way is, but they're blocking. They're basically spread across the sea, aren't they? And yeah, I think they say something. I don't think I paid much attention to what they were talking about, to be honest. Oh, actually, no. I think John was asking like, how many people live here? And Tyrion was like 1 million, and it's like, oh, why would they all live there? And it basically comes down to Tyrion saying, well, they've got some pretty decent brothels in King's Landing. That's why people live there.
Much better brothels there than in the north.
Yeah. And then it cuts from that to the Hound going down under the deck where he kicks a barrel, a thingy, and it just goes mental. It's the undead soldier in the crate, isn't it?
It was a look on his face when he sort of reacted to it, which I liked.
Yeah.
he's clearly terrified of this thing in the Hound, and he's not scared of much, the Hound, but he's terrified of that.
The Hound is someone who doesn't actually react very often, or at least not like that.
But in this episode, we see him; he's fucking scared of this thing.
Yeah.
And rightly so. It goes from that to Cersei talking to the mountain, basically saying, if anything goes wrong, I want you to kill the blonde, I think, did you say blonde or silver-haired bitch first?
Yeah.
Basically kill Cersei first. I think she then said kill Jon, and basically she gave an order of a few people to kill, and then the rest can kill whatever order you see fit, essentially.
Can I just ask, is the mountain looking more and more menacing as time has gone on?
Yeah, it's looking more undead, I think.
Yeah, I thought that.
His eyes are like bright red now. I'm pretty sure they were never that like blood red before. And his skin is this weird purpley blue colour.
Yeah, I'm sure he looks worse now than he did.
Yeah, he always looked bad, like with the colours, but it looks more prominent now, I think.
I know they say like people can have like a rough paper round. He's had a rough paper round for the last sort of couple of seasons.
But one thing for him, he does have style. I was saying last night, that new Queen's Guard armour, the old black. Yeah. Oh God, I want that for work. I want to wear that for work. That's some cool stuff.
Get a uniform for work.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of the best pieces of armour in the entire show.
No, it is.
Definitely.
It's amazing.
The way the helmet plates cross over the face. Love that. Just get that for work. When we fob around your neck with all the the armour.
Reminds me of like the Gondorian armour though. That.
Gondor, yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Do you think so?
It's just the colour scheme of it. It's very black. And
I get a feel of the Inquisition from Dragon Age 3.
Yeah.
So if anyone's actually played that looks very close to that.
All right.
Yeah.
And on the armour thing, I mean, it's always been the same thing, but I'm sure they made improvements to it this year. The Lannister armour that Jaime wears with the lion heads on the shoulders. Again, just a lovely bit of work, that.
We could do an entire show on armour, I think.
I love the details of armour.
I love armour.
Anyway, we go from there. Sorry to just interrupt your armour speech, but we'll carry on with the.
John, we'll make our own podcast.
we'll carry on with the episode recap before we. I mean, there's like I agree. By the way, I do agree. I love Jaime's armour. Just to get that out there. But anyway, the next scene is they've gotten off the boat. Jon, Tyrion, and all that, and they're met by Bronn in. I think it's the gardens, isn't it, that we've seen before?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like we've seen it before in a few. I think it might be even on the Telltale game, this garden. But yeah, he basically meets them all there and walks and says, "I'm going to take you to the Dragon Pit where we're going to have our meeting." There's a few conversations I quite liked on this walk. We had Brienne and the Hound talking about Arya. I quite like this little conversation because. Brienne, I think the Hound says to Brienne, like, so why aren't you at Winterfell protecting Arya? And Brienne says, the only person who needs protection is the one who gets in Arya's way. And the Hound actually looked proud at this point. I was like, yeah, I liked that.
Yeah.
There was Bronn and Tyrion are having a bit of a catch up. Bronn's now obviously a lord, so. I think Tyrion took a bit of a dig at that. Like, yeah, Sir Bronn now, are we? Yeah. kind of thing. Not much else to talk. Oh, go on, sorry.
I liked it when he was basically at the end of the conversation when they're walking. He says to him, "Donny, like, it's good to see you," and he's like, "You too," because they are mates, but they're on opposite sides for the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Tyrion made the offer again of I'll double whatever he's paying you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't tell us exactly how much he's earning now, though, does he? So I mean, we I think he was offered a castle, was he? Or is that just what he wants? He wants a castle, doesn't he?
I think he wants a castle. Yeah. Yep.
Well, he did get a lot of gold in like episode 4 or something.
Well, he did, but he left it all on the battlefield, didn't he?
Oh God, he did. Yeah. Oh God. Oh well. Anyway, we go from that scene to everyone entering the Dragon Pit. We have everyone's just walking in. I think who is it who goes off? Podrick and Bronn walk off to have an ale, don't they?
Drink. Yeah.
Have a drink. Leaving.
So it's not for them, is it? That
no, it's leaving it to the what did they call them? Let's leave this to the.
Oh, can't think.
Yeah, let's skip past that. But big thing that happens next anyway is Cersei and her entourage walk in. What is it? Cersei, Jamie, the Mountain. I can never remember his name, but Maester, blah blah.
Yeah, Maester Qyburn.
Euron.
Euron, that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Euron. And yeah,
I really like Euron, by the way.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, he's
I like that character.
He's a great character.
He's a good fucked up character. You know.
I think we spoke about it in the earlier episode. Like, he should have been like one of the best like new bad guys in this series. You know what I mean? You know, like he should have taken over from like Joffrey and become that again.
Yeah.
He had it in him to do it, to be honest.
I think it was a good time to introduce that character when they did. Just because, like, my I've said it before, but I've got a pop figure of Joffrey. He was one of my favourite characters on Game of Thrones because he was messed up.
Oh, he was definitely. Very good.
We've finally got another character. Not finally. We've just got another character who's just not as messed up as that, but
yeah, it's a bit cooler than Joffrey.
I think he's a cool character. He looks like he's supposed to be in some kind of rock band.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at him.
He looks like he's from like Ghost or something without the makeup. Yeah.
But they all come in, enter, they all sit down. The Hound spies his brother, the Mountain, goes over to him and he says something. He says, he's talking about like, oh, today's not the day you're going to die, but something's coming for you, you know who's coming for you. I didn't know how to take this. Does this mean that like there's something else? Is it going to be the Hound?
I think it's the Hound, yeah, just the threat, like,
or is
I'm going to be the one to kill you.
Or is there something else that's supposed to be coming for him?
I just took it as the Hound kind of thing, just a threat to him, saying, you know who's coming for you, and it's fucking me. Like,
I took it as the Hound myself, but I thought he showed great restraint there that you wouldn't have seen from season 1 or 2 Hound.
Or maybe that's what we were supposed to take from it then. Like he's completely different because he would have just stabbed him straight away, wasn't he, in season 1?
Psychotic in the earlier seasons, but now he's a good character. He's kind of matured in the Game of Thrones.
A bit more wise. I wouldn't say wise isn't the word,
no.
thing, but definitely on those lines kind of thing.
He's got a different outlook, I would say.
Even in the beginning, though, he had it in him, didn't he? Because he was always conscious that Sansa being beaten by Joffrey wasn't right. He was always protecting Sansa in the beginning, so it was always there in him. But he's kind of evolved.
Somewhere deep down, he was morally. He knew what was right.
Yeah.
And it's not like he just learned that.
Yeah. Just one thing on that point as well. I watched it with my sister yesterday, and she pointed out that the Mountain and the Hound are the exact same height. Have they always been the same height? I thought the Mountain was taller.
I thought the Mountain was taller.
I mean, I'm not sure, but like we were talking to Heggy today about it, and he was like, the actor who plays the Mountain, he's huge.
Yeah,
so what they've
more big that way.
So what they've actually done, they've obviously made the Hound bigger just for that scene.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Mountain has had like 3 different actors play him all the time. So.
I think the current one though, the bodybuilder one.
Is it the Icelandic bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because he is huge.
Oh, he is massive. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's still the Mountain, isn't he? I mean, I can't tell under the mask. it could be the guy who played Joffrey at this point. I don't know.
Could be CG for all we know.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. Like, so I think like they've obviously put the Hound on a box or something for that scene, like just to make him look similar size.
I think the Hound is pretty tall though. It's one of the McGanns. They're all like 6'4" or something.
Well,
so yeah, I think he is pretty
fair
big.
enough.
He played. I can't think of the guy's name from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, God, he was massive, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He actually was massive in that.
So he is a big guy anyway, like, yeah. Just found it interesting. I always thought the Mountain was meant to be, like, bigger than the Hound. That's why it's called the Mountain, you know what I mean? Like, but...
Maybe it's just because he's built like a mountain.
He's built that way, like, maybe, yeah.
Anyway, the next scene is Dany obviously making her grand entrance on her... She couldn't just walk in like everyone else. She had to come in on a dragon and basically whap a massive dick out on the table, didn't she?
Yeah. Whop a massive dragon dick out and go, here you go.
Yeah,
I'm on a dragon. I'm wrecking your place. Because I noticed, like, obviously everyone turned up, all cordial. Everyone sort of just arrived. Everyone hates each other, but we've all kept civil. And then this massive dragon comes down, starts wrecking. It's a ruin anyway, but wrecks the place as it lands and starts screaming at people. And you're like, oh god, they're riff-raff have turned up to the party. Like, but I thought it was really cool, and it was the only entrance she could make in that bit.
Yeah, I guess
but
so. Yeah.
It was the moment afterwards when she actually sits down at a chair and she's like, "We've been waiting for a while." I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's along the lines of, "My apologies."
I don't actually think she says anything else. She just says, "My apologies," and that's it.
Yeah.
No, I think it was like all traffic. Just getting here like that.
The dragons are bad.
Can I jump in with a point there? I mean, I noticed straight away the fact that the other dragon was flying around in the background. Yeah. Again, doesn't seem like a very smart move to me. Like, I mean, Cersei literally picks up on it later on in the episode.
I literally thought this, though.
It's just about when they're talking about the third dragon. We'll come on to it. But you say, well, I think it's Jamie who says maybe it's guarding a fleet.
Yeah.
Well, don't bring both your dragons to protect Daenerys on the way there. Leave one. Yeah. Leave one, like where you might be weak.
Exactly. Like, I'm getting really I know I'm getting really picky with this, but she went into the battle in episode 4 with one dragon and left the other 2 at home. And now she's come to a meeting with 2. You know what I mean? And giving away that one of them's been killed in the process. Like,
I think that's the point, though. It is like Cersei can't click onto the fact about the dragon unless there's one dragon missing when she turns up. So
that's what means we'll leave one at home and just go on one. Then she just thinks all the other 2 are left.
No, but like, it's a TV show.
I know.
That's what I mean about sloppy writing.
That's what I mean. I think
they've done that literally just for that plot point. Where it doesn't feel logical for her to do that when she went to a battle with only one, when it would have been more logical to take all your dragons into that battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think logic goes out the window.
That's kind of like my issue with the whole show, really. Like let's say logic.
Logic goes out the window with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
A lot of
but it never used to. The Red Wedding and stuff, that was all built on.
I think this is just this season. It's become a bit sloppy this season.
Ooh, we'll come on.
We'll come on to it at the end. We'll come on to the end. After Dany makes a great entrance, we have Tyrion tries to stand up and starts talking, trying to do his speech thing. Before
Tyrion tries to stand up.
No, what I mean is...
He had trouble getting off that chair enough to see that. He had to jump down. No, genuinely.
But he tries to do his speech before Euron just straight up stand up going, "Theon, I've got your sister, if you want her."
Yeah.
I can't remember what he says to her, but like literally everyone's just looking at him like, "Are you kidding? We've got a bit more important things to talk about right now."
Again, though, I think that was, if you're talking about from the Game of Thrones universe, that must have been a planned point to basically plant the seed in it that he's a complete wild, like loose cannon. And it obviously leads up to the next bit.
I agree.
That'll be why he's done that.
Yeah.
Do we agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We'll go on to that when you say the next bit.
The next bit.
Yeah.
I mean, on my notes, I've literally got the speech from Jon Snow next.
By next bit, I mean the next bit involving Euron.
Euron, yep.
Okay, well, before we get to that bit anyway, we've got basically... I think Tyrion does manage to get a bit of a speech out, but it basically comes down to Jon Snow standing up, saying, "All right, guys, the undead are here. We need to stop fighting each other. There's only one war that counts, and it's bloody here," and all this jazz.
Calls it the Great War, doesn't it? That's been like all over the trailers for the series.
And that's before. Just before the Hound comes up the stairs with the crate, which he kicked earlier, on his shoulders.
Oh, I love that detail. He's just lugging it on his back.
Yeah.
Talking about like specific details, it's the way he has to unhook himself from it and then remove each bar one by one, and like the box isn't moving.
Yeah,
you know what's in there.
Yeah,
well, you kind of get the feeling Cersei's like on the edge of a seat, getting closer and closer like the whole time. Every bar's getting removed.
But you can see the Hound like sort of feeling a bit uneasy about pulling these bars out. When he looks in, he's like, "Nothing's happened."
But you see him when he takes the lid off. He literally doesn't want to touch it. He just kind of knocks it off. He's like, "Ugh." And and he's clearly shooken up by this what's in the box, which we know already is the undead soldier. And nothing, like you say, nothing happens once the lid comes off. And he kicks it, and this undead soldier just belts it straight towards Cersei.
I didn't see the chain at first.
I didn't at first.
And I was like, oh my god, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like there was no chain there?
I know.
It's like that'd be a strange.
Be a good way to get rid of Cersei.
I'm not gonna lie, like I would have enjoyed that. Like that would have been a twist which I wouldn't have expected. And I'm like, that's a good way to eat this episode.
I'd go as far as to say that would just ruin.
I don't know.
Ruin the political storyline.
I know, but like Game of Thrones has always just shocked you with like completely out of place deaths, and I've always liked that. And this season, they seem to have just gone completely away from that.
And I've got to admit, what you just mentioned there about the political subplots, that's why I'm not enjoying it anymore. There's no politics left anymore. It's just all about this big war now, isn't it? And
like I'm not the host of this, Nick is, but I'm assuming we're going to come on to that at the end. But my joy comes out of Game of Thrones when it's more about the politics.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot less of that now than there used to be.
I feel like with a war show, you're at
it's
that
turning
point.
into Lord of the Rings, as we've been saying. Like, it does feel.
I mean,
like
I don't know if you've listened to many of the episodes, Joe, but the entire season, I've on the podcast, I've been saying that this is literally just a rewrite of Lord of the Rings, but from the other side.
Okay. I've not seen Lord of the Rings in a while. I've seen it, but.
Well, I mean, we can get onto that another time.
Just one final comment on that bit. Like, I did enjoy this scene where the White Walker comes flying out of the box, and they've done a good job because, like, the White Walkers for me, they've always been a bit crap ever since the early series. You just look at them thinking, oh, they're just a bit shit. But they did a good job of actually like maintaining suspense in that whole scene and being a bit creepy. You know, when he comes dashing out at Cersei and stuff. It's like a highlight from The Walking Dead or something. You know, when he's dashing towards the kind of thing. Yeah, I quite like that.
I liked it. Although I did think it was a bit cheesy the way Jon Snow was like, "We can kill it with fire," and then like he lights one of the hands up on fire. I thought that was a bit cheesy. That
was the bit I was just about to get onto.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you say, the Hound obviously takes this undead soldier out, and like you say, Jon Snow is like, "Oh, we can kill it with fire with like this disembodied arm," and it's like, we can kill it with fire.
Yeah. Like he's making like a how-to video or something.
Or we can kill it with driving glass, and he just basically takes it.
I think even though I just did it, criticising stuff like that it's just a step too far into just criticising for the sake of criticising. Yeah. It's something you have to put in there. He has to get that across. How else is he going to say, "Oh yeah, kill it with fire"? That's not a Jon Snow impression. But how is he supposed to get that point across without doing that? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But the Maester at this point seems quite interested in the arm.
I noticed that. He holds the hand up, doesn't he? Like, oh,
like he's. We already know he's quite interested in dead things.
Yeah.
he likes to have a root around in stuff like that to see what's going on.
Yeah, like the Mountain, Cersei. He's always around undead.
But they have this back and forth anyway, and Dany says how I keep calling her Dany, so it's Daenerys. She says like, "Oh, I didn't believe it until I saw her myself." And Jamie asks like, "God, how many are there?" She says 100,000 at least, and Jamie looks scared at this point, doesn't he?
Yeah. He does.
100,000 at least. Like of what they just seen, I'd be shitting myself.
Yeah. 100. Just on a general point though, for me, whenever they mention like the number of soldiers in an army, am I on my own ear that it never sounds that impressive to me? Like 100,000. You think, oh, just go to Old Trafford, get the Old Trafford crowd. Come on, there's 90,000 there. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of numbers.
I mean, thinking about it just now, like they made a point just earlier in the episode to say that there's 1 million people in King's Landing.
Yeah, get those millions to fight.
You've got 900. You've got 900,000 more people than the undead here.
Right. There's 1 million people in King's Landing. Right. Let's say 100,000 undead got there. They are not going to win because a lot of them are going to be women and children.
Oh, you say women can't fight, Joe?
I'm not saying that.
They deserve a sword just as much as a man does.
Well, how many? All right, in Game of Thrones universe, how many women are in the Unsullied army? 0. There's 0 in there.
I've heard this Golden Company, 20,000 women. This is made up of. I think the
the rumor
is. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
That's not
Yeah,
true.
you're making that up, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Joe.
Okay, but after the basically you're on stand.
And they've got a dragon. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, I'm guesting. Go on.
No, it's fine. After this 100, we found out there's 100,000 soldiers. Euron stands up and he looked a bit shaken, and he's like, "Right, I'm gone. I'm getting on my boat," because I think he asked, and he's like, "Can you swim?" Like, no. Well, I'm gonna go off on my boat. And they're never going to touch me. As he's walking off, he says to Danny, he says, "You should go back to where you're from, and then once this is all over, it'll be just me and you left."
I loved this in retrospect. Like, because it got me. Like, I fully believed him.
Well, I mean, I fully believed him. But again, about like a contrived plot point. So Cersei's plan was, right, she told him, "I don't believe they've got a White Walker in this box, but on the off chance they have, you pretend you're really scared and then sail off with you."
See, I don't believe this.
You know, it's like, what kind of plan was that? Like?
I don't know if... I mean, we'll get to it when we get to the scene, but I don't know if she was just bluffing fucking Jamie at this point.
This is what I was thinking,
Because, like you say, it seems bollocks that she's just made this elaborate plan.
Yeah, she said, like, "I don't believe there's White Walkers, but if there is, you pretend you're really scared and pretend you're sailing off, but really go and get the Golden Company." It's like, what kind of plan is that? Like, if you don't believe there's White Walkers actually about. Do you know what I mean? I preferred it when I thought he was actually just scared. Like,
well, I did.
Let's think about that, and we'll come back to that.
Just think on it while we go through the coming scenes anyway. After Euron goes, basically Cersei says she will accept the truce on the one condition, and that's if Jon doesn't take any sides, he just stays in the north and does northern things, and then
pies,
Yorkshire puddings,
yeah, just stuff like that, basically. And Jon Snow, being the nice guy he is, but also dickhead he is, basically says, "Nah, I served Danny. Sorry."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it was around them lines.
I'm thinking now, would Cersei have actually gone through with the plan if he'd have agreed to that? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we know Cersei. I don't think she would
think
have been.
so?
No. Like she basically went against her own brother/lover. So, like, what's she gonna? I mean, we'll get to that later on. But yeah, I don't believe she would have gone along with it at all. She would have always had this plan in the back burner. Kind of thing. But because he said this, deal's off essentially. Cersei walks off, and they're fucked. Also, Tyrion says.
I do like the idea of Cersei putting that ploy in there, you know, that like, "Yep, I'll fight with you as long as you do this." I thought that was quite good.
Yeah. But she didn't say she'd fight with them. At this point, the thing was that she doesn't fight them. They were asking her not to fight them,
the truce wants it,
so that they can fight the White Walkers.
Yeah.
And she was like, "All right, what I'll do, I'll hold back. I'll keep my soldiers here, and you can go and kill your monsters.
Yeah.
In peace." But yeah, deal's off at this point. They have a big thing. Daenerys is like, "Right, I love it. I love that you like that, Jon. But come on now, lie for me." And everyone, Tyrion's the same. It's like, come on now, you could have just lied, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I like the fact that he didn't, because that epitomizes that character of Jon Snow.
He's definitely Ned's son. I mean, we know he's not, but he's definitely been brought up by Ned, hasn't he?
It's all about honesty and integrity. That's what he's been brought up with.
Definitely, and this is one theme that they have handled quite well. They bang on about the point of, he says, like, if you lie once, then it's easier to lie the next time, and blah, blah, blah. And like, we're going to get to Littlefinger later on, and that's basically what happens when you lie one too many times, kind of thing. You know that?
Yeah.
That's
it was a fantastic Jon Snow impression.
Yeah. Cheers, John.
You lie once,
That was Donald Trump, I think.
No, I'm not doing it. No.
Right. So after they basically tell Jon that he's a bit of a dickhead for not lying. Tyrion's basically saying, right, I need to go and have a word with my sis, and basically sort this crap out. So after I think Dany says like, I don't want you to get murdered, blah blah. And he's like, no, come on, I'll go and get murdered. So that he goes off. He bumps into Jaime, and they're both like, yeah, we're both dickheads, blah blah. You know what I'm on about. They kind of meet in the hall, don't they?
Yeah, Jaime's like, I've been kicked out. It's your turn now to go in or whatever. Yeah.
And Jaime says like, all right, so I guess this is bye from one idiot to another, essentially.
He says something about like, she's wanted me dead at least twice. That's as much as I know. Who's the bigger idiot? I'm literally walking in there. That's the gist of the conversation.
But he goes in there anyway, and I don't know why she didn't get Mountain to kill him straight away. Because I guess she now knows that he weren't the one who killed Joffrey, but she still blames him for Tommen's death for Lysella's.
Yeah, Myrcella. Yeah,
Myrcella. Sorry.
I thought that was great. I've never thought of it that way. And the way Tyrion puts it to, the way Cersei puts it to Tyrion, she says like, "You killed father, and because of that, this happened, this happened, this happened." And she's right. You know what I mean? Like, you can look at it that way, kind of thing.
It's when you put it with the fact that it didn't the mother die when he had
birth to Tyrion. Yeah,
he's destroyed the whole family.
Yeah,
like, by accident.
Oh God! So I've only just now I've realised that like
Tyrion's the reason that Cersei does not have a family.
I know, but what I mean is though, like I've only just realised that he is directly the reason for Myrcella being dead, isn't he? Because if it weren't for him getting Oberyn to fight for him and then being killed, then
he wouldn't have sent her there in the first place.
I didn't even.
It's butterfly effect, isn't it? So like a butterfly flaps its wings and then everybody dies.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how the saying goes.
I want to say I love this scene.
No, I love this. Like they actually like the talking, aren't they, about all this stuff like we've just been on about. Tyrion catches on to the fact that Cersei's pregnant because she's rubbing her belly.
Well, I think she's telegraphing.
I'm not sure if like she's just like playing everyone with this pregnancy thing.
Oh.
Yeah, and he hands her some wine and she doesn't take it, kind of thing. You know. Yeah.
Can I just add that subtly? I thought that was one of the best moments of the episode. Is when he walks over to pour himself a wine because obviously he's not been in King's Landing for a while and his favourite wine's the King's Landing wines. It's the best. So he downs a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And it's just the way he pours a glass and gives it to Cersei's after a really difficult conversation. I thought that was a really nice, subtle addition to the scene, is when he just goes and does that.
I loved the fact that when he pours the wine is right after the point where he's waiting for the Mountain to kill him. And she's like, no. And it's like, goes and pours the wine straight on.
But he basically tells Cersei to give the Mountain the order, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it's like, go on, tell him. And he's basically said, like, go on, tell him to kill me. And she just doesn't. She's not willing.
She's thinking about it, when she's proper like, I could do this.
Yeah.
It shows that Cersei has went through this entire show with very little humanity, but why would she not? Why would she not give the order there?
I think it's because family, isn't it? She like no matter how much like humanity she doesn't have, she's always loving family. No, regardless of what they've done to her, she's got a soft spot for family all the way.
He's one less Lannister. Is that what you're saying?
And it's a Lannister, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm a bit more cynical. I think she doesn't do it because when the rest of the party find out Tyrion's been killed, the Unsullied might march on King's Landing. You know what I mean? So she knows she can't harm a hair on any of that party's head because it'll start a war.
She at this point she's not prepared for the fight because
they would lose that war.
Euron's not came back with the army yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
There's a theory I read as well that it cuts. It basically just cuts and then they walk out in the next scene. There's a theory saying that like. They obviously spoke, and basically Tyrion's betrayed Daenerys at this point, basically telling her, right, come out to Daenerys, and basically humour them, say, yeah, you'll fight with them, blah blah blah, and we'll keep the Lannisters alive whilst doing it.
that would be the ultimate twist. I think that's too far outside the realms of what Tyrion is as a character.
I agree. I can't see Tyrion doing that now.
You can't build 7 seasons on who Tyrion is.
What this theory was built on, and I don't believe this, by the way. I don't buy into this theory, but this was built on the look that he gave at the end of the episode. Well, we'll get to this at the end, but he gave a look during the final scene while he was looking on a door on the ship. And the theory is that that look was because he had betrayed them. That's what it was all about. Like I say, I don't buy into this myself, but
I'm interested in the theory behind that.
We'll maybe get into it later on. Any more on that scene?
All to say, like John mentioned, I loved the scene. It felt to me like a scene from series 3 or something. Like it felt like that, like peak Game of Thrones
tension. Yeah,
the level of acting from both of them and the writing for it. Yeah, I loved it.
I loved it myself. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And it was tense. You think at any point Tyrion could get killed.
Yeah. I feel like there was a lot of that in this episode, though. There was.
We'll get to the next mountain thing, but the next mountain one, I was like, this is it.
I've spoke to a few people, and we'll get. It's a bit further on, but we'll get onto it later on. Next, Tyrion walks out back into the dragon pit, seemingly alone at first, before Cersei follows with Jaime, and I'm not sure if the Maester's there again. Basically, it's just it's Cersei and her entourage again. Cersei basically says to Daenerys, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna hold my armies back, but what I will do, I'll send them north with you, and we'll help with war. This is going to affect us all, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's much more we should be taking from that scene. Just the fact that Cersei's saying, "All right, guys, I'll help.
I'm on board." Yeah.
And she actually says, doesn't she? Like,
sorry, go on. Yeah.
She actually says, like I'm going to do this, and I'm doing it with absolutely no promises from you guys. So I hope you're going to remember this, even though I'm sure you won't.
Says like when he come marching back down south, remember that I helped you, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I know at this point you don't know that she's not fully being truthful about it, but at that one point in the show, I was completely turned, and I was like, she's turned a corner. Like, she's not the Cersei you've been watching for 7 seasons. This is her. Like, she's not done anything wrong here. When she's making those points about, remember I helped you with no assurances, no promises, and I was like, oh my god, like, she's right. Because they just fucking swanned up and was like, oh yeah, you're going to have to help us. And
I mean, technically, they didn't say you're going to have to help us. They said, just don't kill us.
True. But it was very much like that moment. I looked at Cersei's and saw a different character.
I agree, because like literally, like what just a few episodes ago, like Daenerys has literally burned like her entire army with a dragon, and she's now coming out saying like, all right, well, what I'll do then, I'll come and help you. And I don't think I'd do that in that situation. You know what I mean?
I love the fact it's all a lie, though.
I know.
I love that even more.
I don't like. I'm in the way, like, but yeah.
We'll get into that in just a little bit. We cut from there, from finding out Cersei's amazing, to Sansa and Littlefinger having a little talk in about. I think it's basically just talking about Arya and Littlefinger. He's basically he's attempting to poison Sansa against both Jon and Arya at this point, saying like, oh well, I reckon like, I think he says something about Jon saying like, I reckon like they'd follow you or something like that. Basically saying that like they're not going to follow Jon if he comes back doing certain things or something like that.
It's along the lines of, I think they'd follow you more than Jon.
Something like something like that in the most pedo voice I've ever heard.
No, Jon's his little finger, not Varys.
But then he attempts to poison Sansa against Arya with a nice game in them. in whatever you would call them.
What I like to do, Sansa, I like to play a game.
Oh, carry on.
Was that any better?
That's much better than mine. That.
Carry on with that. Come on.
There's a bit of a Northern Irish twang in there as well, weren't there? Like,
What I'd like to do, Sansa.
I like to imagine what my enemy... I can't think now what he says.
I like to assume the worst of people.
Yeah. I think what my enemy's worst motives would be...
What is the worst motive?
Yeah, he's basically saying like, right, so think of the worst reason for Arya being here in the first place, the worst reason for Arya finding that letter, the worst reason, and all this stuff. It goes on for a bit.
I think it's the weakest part of the show, this storyline on this particular episode.
The whole season for me, this has been the weak link.
It's been a bit of a weak one.
Yeah.
It for me, it's just that they've just been trying to finish a storyline off at this point.
I feel like they could have finished this off 6 episodes ago, but they wanted to keep it going for the whole season.
No, I definitely agree, but I feel like that's literally the whole point of it. It's just been to finish it off.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. What happened in this episode could have happened in episode 2 when Bran turned up.
Oh, definitely.
They dragged it out for like the whole series.
That's what I mean. I feel like they could have definitely done it in episode 2, maybe even 1, but like...
And that's why I'm not totally happy with it kind of thing. But
like they just dragged it out unnecessarily. But yeah, they play this little game and Sansa's like seems pretty pissed with Arya at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that in a few scenes time. We cut back to Dany and basically Jorah, Jon, everyone, all the council around that big war table.
Oh, the back at Dragonstone now.
The back at Dragonstone now. And they're talking about going up to Winterfell, and Jon's basically saying, I reckon you should just march with us. And Jorah's like going, I think you should go on a dragon because a lot of people in the north don't like you very much.
One arrow in your heart and the game over.
Because they'd be considered a hero kind of thing.
Yeah.
Daenerys decides she'll march, which will probably be the death of her, to be fair.
Can I jump in there? Like, one thing I was loving at this point was it felt like the whole party had gone out of the way to try and win Cersei over, which you think they have done. And after that previous scene with with Littlefinger and Sansa, at that point I was thinking, God, they've gone out of the way. They've won over Cersei, the person you wouldn't think they'd win over. And it's going to be the North who turn on them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was thinking that, like, I was like, it's going to be like a red wedding or something again. But it doesn't go that way.
No, it doesn't.
But I was thinking, that's a great twist, you know what I mean? Like, they've spent all the time trying to win Cersei over and done it. And because they've neglected the North, they'll be the ones who, like, turn on them. But, yeah.
It doesn't appear to be going that way, does it?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so she decides to march, walk. I don't know why. You've got a dragon, ride it. You know what I mean? If I had a dragon, I'd be riding that fucking everywhere. But yeah,
take a sound clip of that.
But the scene ends, and Jon's in the throne room, and Theon asks for a word with Jon. This is the first time we have Theon basically talking to Jon like directly.
Can you just refresh my memory on the backstory?
Well, Theon's basically killed not indirectly, wiped out Winterfell, killed most of the Starks, told everyone he'd killed Bran and Rickon when he actually hadn't.
Oh, shit, yeah.
You know, so he's completely fucked the Starks over. And because he helped out Sansa, like, blast civs or the civs before, Jon Snow's like, because of that, I'm not going to kill you. But if it wasn't for that, you know, I'd take your head off kind of thing.
A lot of it happened so long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, only a few months ago did I rewatch the entire series. So, but before that, I wouldn't have had a clue what this was about. But so I understand what you're on about. But because I've watched it so recently, like I get it now.
The last time I went through all the seasons was right up to 2013. Since then, I haven't seen season 1, 2.
Yeah,
I'd recommend going back through it because
I'm going to do that before the next season.
To be honest, I'm probably going to do it again before the next season because, I mean, I might talk about it a bit more at the end, but I'm thinking for next season, in a year or 2 years, if we're still doing it, I'd like to try and do a recap of season by season before we do a recap of episode by episode for the 8th season.
Yeah.
Like a season in review.
Yeah. So like we'll do season 1, season 2.
I like that.
And so like I say, might talk about it at the end of the episode. If I don't, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I'm probably going to try and rewatch it again next year or the year after, depending on when it's coming out. I'm not sure when it's coming out.
It can be 18 months or 12 months.
They say, right, there's been theories that it's going to be 2019.
Yeah.
Well, there's also been whispers of it being next year as well. So we don't know. We don't have a clue when it's going to be.
Is it like I've heard it's because of the snow?
I've heard of this because like they need to wait for the perfect seasons for where they're filming to be snowy AF.
Yeah, it makes sense to wait for winter 2018, early 2019.
I mean, come on, they've got winter 2017 still to come. Get on it. Joking. But anyway, that scene we have Theon talking to John, and I mean, I don't know if there's anything more you want to say about it, but all I took from it is that John's basically saying, "Oh, I forgive you for everything I can forgive you for."
Well, there's one really amazing quote in it that made me laugh so much, but I can't think now what it was. Theon was saying to John, like, something along the lines of, "Oh, you're so brave, I don't know how you can do what you do." And he's like, "Believe me, it may look that way, but, it's not the truth." And Theon's like, "Yeah, but I've tried it and I can't do it the same way as you do." And it's like, no, you can't. It's something like that. You know what I mean? The point of it was that, like, Theon was trying to get a bit of, like, comradeship from him, and Jon Snow was like, no.
I think, not the actual quote, but he was like, "I've done some terrible things to get where I'm going." And
yeah, that's what he's like, not as bad as I've done or something.
he's like, "Yeah, not as bad as what you've done."
Not that bad. Just the way he shot him down.
I think it ends with Theon saying to John, like, I need, like, Yara's in trouble, and I need to help her. Like, she came to help me when I was weak, and Yara came to help me when I was weak, and so I need to go and help her now. And he's basically said, like, well, what are you still talking to me for? Do it in the accent, would you, John?
What does he say?
What are you still talking to me for?
So what are you still talking to me for?
that was pretty
fantastic.
That was pretty bang on, that, to be honest. Next scene, Theon walks out onto the beach where Yara's men, I guess, because they're not
Ironborn. Yeah,
are they Ironborn though?
Yeah, Yara's Ironborn.
I know, but aren't
it's split off, hasn't it, into two different
so there's two different Ironborns.
Most of them went off with Euron, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay, he walks out onto the beach. Head Ironborn, who are with them at this point, it's basically like, well, Theon kind of comes out, tries to whap his dick out. Well,
he tries to.
Tries to whap his non-dick out.
I've just thought, the perfect job for Theon. Go and join the Unsullied. I know. It'd fit in perfect.
Yeah, you sure?
Actually, no.
Join Varys just getting like...
Do you remember him trying to behead that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he got beheaded already.
What?
Rickon.
All right, guys.
Got no penis.
Anyway, this head guy doesn't agree. Like, Theon walks out and he's like, "All right, guys, Yara needs our help, blah, blah, blah." This guy's like, "Yeah, no, I'm all right, thanks."
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a scuff, a bit of a fight.
Yep.
It's very much a culture of the big dog is the one in charge, even if you're not the biggest actual dog.
Yeah.
But I love the turning point in the fight, though. You're going to come on
Yeah,
to that,
because they fight for a bit and like...
well, say fight, he just beats Theon up.
Yeah, he basically beats him up. But Theon keeps getting up. I'll hand it to Theon. He keeps standing up, even though he actually says to him, like, "You stand up." And I'm not going to lie, I hated this acting. I thought it sounded so fake when he said
I quite
it.
like this big guy.
But it's like, "You stand up one more time and I will kill you."
I really liked that acting there.
Yeah,
because he slowly got less and less angry and more like respecting what the guy was doing.
Yeah,
but I'm just tired of stop doing it.
He said it once and he was like, "Right, you stand up one more time and I'll kill you." He stands up, so he knocks him down. I was like, so you're not going to kill him, or and so he stands up again and he just tries to kick him in the balls, and we all know that Theon has no balls because
Thanks to Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay Bolton removed them. So it just kind of bounced. I was thinking, I was like, right, it might not hurt as much as it would if you got kicked in the balls, but it's going to hurt. You still got a bit of bone there. That's going to pain you, that.
I don't know,
But it just kind of bounces off, and he's just like, yeah, no worries.
Every time I see Theon, I get flashbacks to when
You
Ramsay
had
Bolton...
your dick chopped off.
No, I've wiped that arm in. It's when Ramsay Bolton serves him up like a sausage.
He's eating a sausage in front of it. Like, I think
That's right, yeah.
I think it's literally like the next episode after cutting his dick off. He's just sat there like... Just eating him right.
I've remembered that so well.
Me and my sister were literally talking about this over the weekend. We were saying like that scene was eating that is like, no, this is what you think it is. I'm not a savage.
But yeah, it bounces off of his, whatever we're calling it,
Groinal region.
groinal region.
His unsullied area.
His unsullied area. And he basically manages to beat the guy to death.
Does he have a stone or something? He gets like a rock, don't he?
I know, he just keeps beating him down,
Does it?
punching him in the side of the head.
His head's just caved in.
And everyone else is like, yeah, Theon's king now. They don't say that, by the way. They just...
They go, for Yara, and they all say it back, don't they?
Yeah. And then he goes and wipes his wound with salt water. Well done, Theon.
Keeping it clean.
With salt water.
Salt water
That
cleans out.
had to sting like fuck.
Yeah.
But also, it was probably the best medical option in that situation.
But it stung.
Another line opportunity for him. Go to the Citadel, become a doctor.
Ah, yes.
Perfect. Right. Yeah.
Or a fisherman.
Dr. Theon.
But yeah, that's
Theon, I like that.
That's actually the last we see of Theon and co. We assume they're going to go and save Yara.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have... I've read some reviews today online, and a lot of people have had pops at that Theon bit, but I thought it was good. I liked it.
I had no problem with it.
I thought it was one of the better bits, to be honest. But
I mean, I have no problem with it. I don't know. I didn't like the guy's acting. That I know you just said you loved it. I weren't a big fan of it.
I wouldn't say I loved it, but I think it was good for the scene and what it was trying to get across.
I loved the scene. I loved the fight. I didn't like the idea that it would just bounce off his bone and not hurt whatsoever.
I quite like the idea of them all just being on a beach, and then this just started kicking off in the middle of just on this tiny little beach
in the sand,
in the sand, just beating the shit out of each other. Quite like that.
But that's the last we see of that anyway. We go back to Sansa, and she's on the snowy wall, and she walks off to some guard, and she says, "Bring Arya to the Great Hall." I don't know why I said it in that accent, as if like.
I was going to say that doesn't sound like Sansa.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Bring Arya.
I was thinking more like sister. Was it like little thing? I know, like bring Arya to the great hall. No.
And we go to the Great Hall. Arya walks in, all cocky, all cocksure, and she's just like, yeah, fucking what's going on, guys? And she stands there, and Sansa's like, yeah, well, you shit. She doesn't say that.
Yeah, stop being so.
No, but basically, Arya's all, like I say, very cocksure, and she's like, come on, get on with it. What's going on? And Sansa says, you are guilty of murder and treason. She doesn't say Littlefinger. She says, Lord Baelish.
Yeah, she says, you've been accused of murder and treason. How do you plead, Lord Baelish? He's like, what?
I mean, I know he was shocked, but I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't.
I wasn't shocked, but I hate that. Like, you've just nailed for me why I hate this whole thing. It's the theatricality of it. Like, you've got a murderer there living amongst you. Just get him killed straight away. Yeah. Don't put on this whole show for him.
Yeah.
Like, you're being brought in.
I disagree. Littlefinger is a character that I've always quite liked because he's meddled in the politics. He's kept himself alive whilst just swanning in and out of people's lives, just making himself as bulletproof as he can make himself, whilst keeping his connections open. So in this scene, he's finally been found out. It's the way he should have died. I feel like they had to make a theatrical thing out of it to justify the whole thing. So I'm quite sad that Littlefinger's died. But
I'm genuinely gutted.
I mean,
I think he'd entered the end of his usefulness because he's not been the best character all season. He stopped being, as soon as he got to Winterfell, that character dead. All of his previous doings and goings on, like it ended, and it has to be the end of his story now. So the fact that he's on trial at this point is the right time for him to be on trial.
Yeah.
We've said this before, that like he's outlived his usefulness in terms of the whole show, to the point of he's stuck at Winterfell. He can't play with Jon Snow because he's just too thick. We were saying earlier in the season, you need to like manipulate people. You need to know what they want to be able to manipulate them. And Jon Snow doesn't want anything. You know, these people don't want anything. You can't work with that. But I just feel like they've dragged it out for the whole season. They could have done this like
no, they definitely could have done it earlier. I mean, I love Littlefinger myself. Like, I think I've said it earlier on an earlier episode of the pod. Like, I would have genuinely been happy if at the end of season 8, Littlefinger was sat on the throne. I would have been happy with that. That would have been a good ending for me. But obviously, that's not going to happen now, unless he turned into a White Walker.
Which I've done a deal with the Night King.
Maybe bring me back, and I'll serve you like you want.
So basically, this is the final scene, isn't it, with Littlefinger in it?
This is the last time we see Littlefinger now, because basically he begs for. First of all, he goes to that Lord of the Vale. And says, like, I am, well, do we call him a Lord of the Vale?
Well, I think
a soldier of
Lord
the Vale.
Baelish is just the Lord of the Vale.
So he's a soldier of the Vale.
Yeah.
So he goes to that soldier of the Vale, who
Commander of the Vale, is that?
Commander of the
Man
Vale,
at Arms, whatever, like. Yeah.
And he says, like, I am the Lord of the Vale. I need you to escort me out of here safely.
I'm the Lord of the Vale. Hear me roar.
Essentially, yeah, that's exactly what he says. No, he doesn't. And the guy's just like, yeah, I don't think so. That's not happening. And so Littlefinger cries like a little girl.
I love that it went to this level, though.
He's on his knees, like, oh,
he's on his. He's tried every trick in his book because every one of them has worked before, and he's finally had to beg and grovel, and it wasn't going to work. But the fact that he went there and tried it, I loved that was the ending for him.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't thought of it until you just said it, but like that is it, isn't it? It was his last play, wasn't it? It's like, all right, this is my last play to stay alive, so I'm going to cry like a little bitch. And it just didn't. And just before Arya just slices his throat, and that's it.
I knew it was coming, but my jaw still dropped when she slit his throat because I was like, "Oh shit!"
I'm not gonna lie. Like I say, I've known. If you've listened to the last episode of the podcast, I literally said, "Next episode, Littlefinger's gonna die at the hand of Arya." I said those words.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. Wait, what? that doesn't fit with that, Joe.
No. You can make 100 predictions.
Yeah, but I've not made 100 predictions.
I might have made 100.
I'm treating you as a twosome here.
I feel like I've made one prediction this season, and my prediction was that in the final episode, and it was only the last episode to be fair, but I predicted that Arya would kill Littlefinger in the next episode. So I
don't think it's the hardest thing to have predicted.
No, I mean that's what I mean. I mean, I'll get into it at the end when we talk about the season as a whole, but I feel it's been very predictable. So.
That's the running theme, isn't it?
I will get into it further at the end. I think we'll go more into it, but we'll try and get through this now because
just one final bit on this scene. The one thing I do like about Littlefinger's death is, we mentioned it earlier in a previous podcast, but the fact that Littlefinger played everyone, is just one step ahead of everyone, and the only way that he can get brought down is by some clown like Bran having magical powers that he could have no knowledge of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Bran can see everything. It's like, shit, I didn't see that coming. And that's the only reason he gets found out.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you did this to Jon Arryn, you did that. And he's like, how the fuck do you know all this?
I mean, I think you actually. I mean, and I know you just said you a broken clock's right twice a day. I think you actually called that Bran would be the end of Littlefinger
I said
earlier
that
on.
Episode 2. That's why I thought it should have happened a lot earlier.
It definitely should have happened earlier on.
I said that when you have a character like Bran who knows everything, you've got to be careful who you put him around, because it'll kill the show kind of thing, and that's why they could have done it a lot earlier because it's ended up working that way. Like
again, John, a broken lock's twice today.
A broken lock was that?
Right, so we'll go from there anyway. We'll go from there. Littlefinger's dead.
Oh.
That's the end of Littlefinger. I'm
Sad.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
sad, very sad.
Just the fact he started the whole Game of Thrones, it's his actions that started everything.
He's literally the
and
reason.
now he's gone. Yeah.
But we go from there to Jamie, and he's in that big map room, and he's basically saying like, all right, so we'll head north. You'll go this way. You'll go that way. Cersei walks in, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, well, I'm prepared. I'm preparing for the expedition north, is what he says. And she's like, are you that fucking fit? She doesn't say it in those words. She says it, like I say, paraphrasing again. But she's like, I always knew you were the stupidest Lannister. And it's like, what? And basically she tells him that she was lying about sending her armies north.
I couldn't believe this, by the way. Like, this was the bit where I was just like, oh, shit.
I know, I genuinely thought at the point in the Dragon Pit earlier that was it. Like, she was going to send them north. She'd turned the corner. Her seeing the White Walker was enough to help make her send the
This was the contrasting emotion I felt, because what I mentioned earlier, which you both agreed with, is that when you see Cersei's actually say, I'm putting my faith in you, like blah blah blah, and like you've gave me no shred of any kind of, you know, that scene.
Yeah.
This was the complete opposite of that, where I looked back at that scene and I was like, oh, snap. Like,
Yeah.
she's played this perfectly. Now, I know you've got your issues with the plot points, but in terms of living it in the moment, watching the show, that was a great moment for her to say that, because it caught me completely off guard. I was like, oh shit, that all makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, in those terms, but I just don't get what her end game is, what the logic behind doing this is. Like,
well, she's hired, what is it, the Golden Bank? Is that what
Golden
it's called?
Company, yeah.
Golden Company. She's hired
20,000 soldiers.
Yeah, and that'll be enough.
I feel like she pretty much explained in this scene like what it is. She's after all she wants is to rule. That's her end goal, to rule.
But, I mean, what's the plan with dealing with the White Walker
This
army?
is what she said her words were: let the monsters fight the monsters. So she's like, one of them will win between the North and the undead, and she was like, we'll just fight whatever's left.
But like, if the undead win, their army will double in size because they'll have the entire army they just defeated fighting for them as well. Like,
She's got a plan. It's not exactly a clever plan, but she thinks she's got a plan.
Yeah.
If you were the advisor, you'd be able to advise that. However,
yeah,
it's, you know,
that's what I just don't get what her end game is. Like, do you know what I mean? She's seen the White Walker. She knows what they do.
But yeah,
she's still thinking, oh, we'll just beat them once but it doesn't work that way. They'll have the entire other dead army fighting for them by that point. So,
didn't she say though, like, if a couple of dragons wouldn't be able to finish it off, what can we do anyway?
Yeah, this is where we find out that she noticed that there's only 2 dragons. We find this out in this scene.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, that like, why the fuck was Cersei bringing both dragons?
Yeah.
So she's obviously noticed that there's one missing, and she's thinking, well, they've got a weakness there somewhere.
Yep. They've clearly taken one out. So.
And we also find out in this scene that Yoram was being a big actor at that point. He was basically lying about, well, I don't know if he was lying about being scared. I imagine he was scared, but like he was basically going to go and collect the Golden Company. See, I don't get this, because he's gone on his ships to get the Golden Company to bring them across the sea, right?
Mm.
The Golden Company are famously, like, they have elephants.
Yeah.
How the fuck are they getting these elephants over the sea?
Big ships, Nick. Big, very big.
Much bigger boat.
This is. I'm very interested in seeing these elephants crossing the sea.
I'm almost thinking this, like, they've got like this massive fleet that's already manned by an army. Where are you going to put 20,000 soldiers on these boats to bring them back out? Like,
that's what I mean.
Again, I know I'm getting really logic details kind of thing, but I was just thinking, send another fleet together.
Yeah. But anyway, And it ends with another scene, very reminiscent of an earlier scene with Tyrion, where Tyrion earlier said to Cersei, like, get Mountain to kill me, just do it now. Jaime essentially says the exact same thing, like, go on, do it, say the word, get him to kill. In my opinion, Cersei seemed very much more willing to kill Jaime than she did Tyrion. It seemed to me that like she was like, yeah, go on, fucking kill him, whatever.
Well, she nods her head, doesn't she? And like you hear the sword unsheathing.
Yeah.
And at that exact moment, I was like, oh my God, it's the end of Jaime Lannister. Because I like Jaime Lannister.
This
a lot
would
of people
be
do.
as big as a Red Wedding. Like, to kill off Jaime at this point and be like, oh my God.
But they didn't go through with it.
He didn't know, and Jaime just literally walks off, and then
he says, "I didn't. I don't believe you."
Do you get the logic? I don't understand. She literally gave the nod to do it.
See, I didn't get that.
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, she must have said before, and look, whatever happens here, you're not killing Jaime Lannister.
But then at the end of the scene, anyway, Jaime goes and does the quickest change ever. And he's no longer in his awesome. Going back to your talk about the armor earlier, he's no longer in his sick lion encrested armor. He's in leather,
like a leather tunic,
a leather tunic.
And it's definitely a highlight that scene though when he was in that room.
I just think they should have killed him. Like that would have been like
no, that would have been perfect for me.
The irony of the fact she could have killed the brother she hates earlier and didn't do it for political reasons. And now she doesn't trust Jaime to the point that she actually had him killed. Like that to me would be the final turn for Cersei into being like completely unredeemable. You know what I mean? Like if she'd have done that.
It makes sense, but I feel like he's a popular character. I don't know, it doesn't matter if they're a popular character or not, but I think there's more of a story to tell there with Jaime sort of being redeemed as like a good Lannister, like Tyrion. I think this is... If there was nothing planned for Jaime, that would have been the perfect place for him to finish. But the fact is, we've got one more season left. I think this is all building towards that. And that he will have a much bigger part to play. There'll be a payoff. This was just a small peak on the way to his finale, so to say.
Yeah. I just really think that... Like, there's one bit when she gave the order, the look on Jimmy's face, you're like, shit, they're going to do it. Like, they're going to kill him. Like, I genuinely bought it completely, and he just walks off. I don't believe you. And I was like, what? No,
I know.
Kill him.
I know.
I thought it was poignant, though, the way he was like, I don't believe you. And he just walked straight through it. Because I
mean, the look on Cersei's face was very telling as well, wasn't it? Like,
It was a half-hearted kind of...
I mean, I don't know. Like as he walked off, she was like, she clearly had a bit of concern in her eyes. Like she was like, "Shit, I've just made the worst mistake of my life," kind of thing.
She looked distressed when he walked away because she got up after him, and she'd said earlier, nobody walks away from me, but she let him walk away, and she sort of followed him for a few steps, and then just looked at the like distress.
And that's it though. That's like she's the only Lannister that she hasn't like either lost by being killed or she's pushed away, and that means she's the only Lannister left in her little circle. So even if she manages to win, because she's pushed them all away now, there's no one to pass it on to apart from this child of hers, bastard child,
this fake child,
which I'm convinced either won't be real or this child will be the death of Cersei in the coming season.
Maybe.
And in a roundabout way, Jaime will have killed Cersei. And then mini Tyrion will pop out. Yeah. I reckon a little dwarf will pop out as Cersei, killing Cersei in the process. I mean, this is what I'm hoping for.
Like, Cassie reminded me of something today in work. The prophecy is... she'll only ever bear 3 children, that they'll all die before she does. And she'll die at her brother's hand. So, like, that's why I think that the baby's fake, because the prophecy told her she'll only have 3 children.
But she's not had the child yet.
No. Maybe Jaime or Tyrion will get in there first and kill her before she can have it.
I love the stabbing motion you just made.
I guess it wouldn't be the first time we've seen a pregnant woman die.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Red Wedding one was just the most horrific scene.
It was very horrific.
Could be another Red Wedding coming, maybe. Cersei and the Night King getting married. Tyrion pops in.
Shall we continue anyway?
Yeah,
Just going back to that scene of Jamie riding out, we see the first snow that hits King's Landing at this point. So I didn't realize it'd been that it had come that south at this point, to be honest. But obviously, it had been months since, like a few scenes ago. To be fair, so winter is in King's Landing now. From that scene, we go on to Winterfell now, and Sam arrives. He instantly goes into Bran's Bran's chambers, or a room with Bran in it anyway. And he walks in and says, "Oh, I didn't think you'd remember me, Bran." And Bran's like, "I'm the three-eyed raven." He literally has to tell everyone instantly. He's like, "I am now the three-eyed raven."
It's like, all right, Bran, give it a rest, mate.
No,
You've told us 3 times already.
I know everything. Well, you know to shut up then.
Yeah,
But,
we'll find out he doesn't know everything either.
Sam,
Yeah,
He's been
but
fucking
this is
bollocks about that.
yeah, Samuel walks in anyway, and they basically talk about, well, what I most took note of anyway. They spoke of Jon's heritage, didn't they? In detail.
Yeah.
And we go back to that scene with was it last season or the season before, where Bran basically goes back to see Ned as a child with his sister. Is it
Lyanna. Yeah.
Lyanna, giving birth. And we seen it there, but we didn't hear what was said. But we kind of see that Lyanna says, "Oh, his name's Aegon Targaryen."
You have to whisper it.
His name's Aegon Targaryen.
It's much better.
And then Ned starts like, "What? There's already a child called Aegon Targaryen. What are you calling me that for?"
I mean, he doesn't say that, John. He doesn't say that, but this has really pissed you off, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Should we let John just jump on his little box here and just moan about it?
Just a quick one. There's a character called Aegon Targaryen already, one of Rhaegar's children, who was still alive at this point, and they've named another baby Aegon. It's just
apparently
weird.
Wasn't. I was reading. Apparently, by this point, the other Aegon had been murdered.
I don't think they would have known about it though.
They might not have known about it, but he was still murdered at this point. But on the same thing, I don't know if they've just gone a completely different way with the TV show.
What they've done is, there's total spoilers there for the books, but in the books, Aegon wasn't murdered. He turns up later on in Westeros.
Oh, so
as a 13-year-old. So they've merged that character with Jon Snow in the TV show.
Interesting.
But then completely forgot there's already a character called Aegon Targaryen. So they've merged a character, but there's also already a character called that.
Right.
Wait, Aegon's showing up in the show?
No, in the book. In the book, he's still alive and well. And
so in the book, have we found out that Jon's called Aegon?
He's not called Aegon in the book. That's what.
So what's the issue then?
Hang on. Right. Rhaegon apparently liked the name
Aegon.
Right.
So he's called 2 of his children Aegon.
He's called 2 of his children that. He always believed in prophecies, and Aegon is supposed to be the prophesied name. I don't know the right word for it, but it's the primo name for the Targaryen family. It's the name that will lead them to sort of be in charge, basically.
Yeah.
So when I'm going to throw it out there, maybe he was doubling up the chances.
Yeah, just call all your children Aegon.
Well, didn't George Foreman name all of his children George, or is that not true?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend it's true.
I've got issues with that as well, to be honest.
So I don't know if it's going to be. I know very little about what it will be, but
yeah,
it could be that it's a prophecy type. It's a prof.
That's my only issue with it. They might go back and retrofit this, but there are basically 2 babies called Aegon in the show at the moment. In the book, there was 1 baby called Aegon. And from the book character, they've merged him with Jon Snow, but they forgot there's already still a baby called Aegon that they can't retrofit.
I wouldn't mind if they put them together with Jon Snow and Aegon characters from the books together.
You just said
they have done that.
You just said
in the show, there's still another character called Aegon.
But how is there another character called Aegon in the show?
He was the baby who was murdered and presented to Tywin Lannister. That was the baby that Oberyn Martell was trying to avenge when he was killing.
And that was definitely Aegon.
Aegon and a girl as well.
Is it definitely Aegon then? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I presume so.
but you're presuming we don't know. If
that's what I mean. Like they might retrofit it now and say it wasn't Aegon.
They might have gone a different way because, like in future books, they might go a different way with the Jon Snow storyline.
No, like Aegon's a character in the books.
No, what I mean is they might go a different way with the Jon Snow storyline in the books. They might not call him Aegon in the books.
Oh, he won't be. He definitely won't be.
That's what I mean. They might go a completely different way. Like
I'm fine with the books. It's the show I'm not happy with. It's the fact there were two characters called Aegon knocking about at the same time.
We don't know that the other one's called Aegon, though.
I think we do.
We don't.
They might retrofit it now so that it doesn't, but it was always Aegon kind of thing. That I'll have to go back and check. I'm sure Oberyn might have name checked him at some point in Series 4. That was the reason he fought the Mountain. Because the Mountain killed baby Aegon.
Okay.
Yep.
This has got too complex for me.
Yeah,
so I'm going to throw out there that I like the fact that Jon Snow for a few seconds was called Jon Sand.
Yeah, I like that.
I liked that. Yeah,
that was good. Yeah.
Continue your Aegon conversation. Are you on?
Right. That was my only point.
Let's move on from
just
the whole.
Nitpick, that's all it
let's move on from that. Like we now know that Jon's given name was Aegon Targaryen.
But it should have been Jon Sand.
It should definitely have been Jon Sand. And we now know that Jon is the rightful heir to the throne, the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
If you respect Robert Baratheon's rebellion, isn't Gendry the most rightful king?
Gendry definitely is.
If he was a legitimised bastard.
If the theory, I don't know if I think I spoke about this in the last episode actually, but like the theory goes that Gendry might actually be Cersei's child, and may in fact be the most legitimate.
Is that a theory going around?
That's legit.
I love that theory.
That because this
Gendry's got like an iron chance at the throne there because he'd surely be the most legitimate.
Well, there's a thing saying that like obviously like in the one of the first seasons they were saying that like Gendry's blacksmithing lessons, I guess, were paid for by like a higher up member of like a secret higher up like
branch.
royal
Right.
But basically what they're saying is like it's Cersei and she kind of kept him close by paying for this kind of thing. And just as like as the order went out to kill all of Robert's bastard children, he was magically shipped off to the Night's Watch or wherever they were going at that point. And basically the theory goes that like it's been very closely being, she's kept a very close eye on this child, knowing it's hers. But
that's one of my favourite theories I've heard. I like that.
And he is actually has a legitimate claim to the throne.
Well, the most legitimate
claim? The most legitimate, yes.
If you respect the Baratheon rebellion. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. We'll go from that. We're nearly at the end of the episode now. The next scene, knowing what we just found out, is pretty weird. Basically, Jon knocks on Daenerys' door and basically he bangs her all night long.
Winter is coming, but all Daenerys can think of is 8 inches of snow.
You've had that lined up, haven't you?
You've literally had that lined up all episode. I love that though. But yeah, they bang. Tyrion is looking on. This is the look I was on about.
The door's closed.
The door's closed.
Tyrion's not in the room.
Tyrion's at the window.
He's seen Jon go in, and he's like
in the room.
He's seen Jon walk into the bedroom of Daenerys, close the door behind him, and now Tyrion's looking on at the closed door with no naked people in sight.
So what you're saying is, I've seen Jon enter. He's
right. All right, guys. And Tyrion, this is the theory I was on about before, where this look that he gives, he kind of it's kind of saying like, you know, I've betrayed you.
It definitely stuck out to me as a scene that shouldn't have been there.
That's what I mean.
But I don't know if this is a red herring that they've put in.
Well,
I've got to admit, I don't remember the scene, to be honest.
The theory goes that
Whilst the sex scene was going on, John, me and Nick were concentrating on the dwarf behind the door.
the theory goes that he's betrayed her, and the look's kind of like shit. What have I done, kind of thing. But Peter Dinklage has actually come out today in an interview and said, "No, what it is like there's been a history with Daenerys of things going wrong with her and her lovers." So he knows that this is never going to go well at all.
Can I just make the point that Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow, lived the fact that his character had died. He told every interviewer that he's done with Game of Thrones. They had a wrap-up party and everything.
Oh, I was saying this. Yeah,
and then he just reappeared. And he was like, oh, I was just messing. So don't believe the actors.
They do line interviews, don't they?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. The theory might be correct. We'll see how it goes anyway. We have the next scene. It's pretty insignificant. Didn't really care for it, but it's Sandra and I who stood on the wall looking out, and they're talking a bit about Ned and a bit of, I don't know. They might talk about Jonathan.
I generally can't remember what they talked about now.
No, they spoke. I think
Just not sticking together.
It's about like who'd make the better lady.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be Sansa because Arya's more of a tomboy.
And Arya says some line that Ned said in season 1 or something, and Sansa says like, "Oh, that's me dad." Ooh. And
it was fine.
It weren't that much of an interesting scene. It was just Let's go to the next one. This is where it gets a bit more interesting. Anyway, it's Tormund and Beric on the wall, and they're looking out, and it's very snowy, and through
it is winter.
It is very wintry. It's very winter. Basically, the undead army, after what was it?
A month.
Have travelled the distance in which Gendry ran in a day.
Gendry's a fast runner.
He is a very fast runner. But the undead army, after a month, have finally managed to walk there.
I know you two are cynical about this, but they walk very slowly.
They do walk very slowly.
Does the dragon fly slowly?
Thinking about it though, after the end of the other episode as well, they did have to stop while they pulled this dragon out of the water.
That dragon might not have been able to fly straight away.
And they had to train the dragon.
That's true.
Yeah, they had to find those chains from somewhere that they pulled out of the water with.
To be fair, this could have taken a while there.
They might have just been like forging those chains for like a month or something.
This is a point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. It might make sense. So they arrive anyway, and God, we didn't expect it, but the dragon came out and was breathing big blue flames.
Yep.
Can I make a comment on the dragon noises?
Oh yeah.
As a sound design.
Go ahead.
The noises were different to the normal dragons, which I quite liked because it would have been probably a bit lazy to give them the exact same dragon sort of sounds they were making. But it was more it was more fucked up. Like you can't imagine a dragon makes a noise that everybody puts to a dragon, even though nobody's ever heard a dragon. But that undead dragon's noises were even more messed up, and I've really enjoyed that. That dragon.
It was faster as well, I think. I don't know if that was just me, but it seemed a lot quicker than the other dragons. It was flitting about and stuff.
Yeah, there was a scene where it just flew right past. The first time you see it, it's incredibly fast. It sort of takes you by surprise the first time you sort of spot it.
Definitely.
But yeah, the Night King's riding this dragon, and he essentially takes out a big chunk of the wall right next to the sea.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was meant to be like magical spells woven into this wall. And
I was saying yesterday,
magical fire.
Magical dragon.
What's it? Uncle Benjen?
Benjen, yeah.
Uncle Benjen in an earlier scene literally said, "I can't pass the wall because there's magic in the wall which stops all undead from passing it." But all of a sudden, there's magic protecting these from going past, but all they need is to fucking burn it down.
Yeah.
Like, who didn't think of this?
To get into sort of black magic and things like that, like if you destroyed the vessel of which the spell exists, then surely the spell stops existing.
I'm still not I'm still not buying it that much. I feel like if there's magic on the wall protecting what's on the other side of the wall, surely the magic should be able to stop a bit of fire.
Magical fire.
All right, we'll agree to disagree on this one.
Let's agree to disagree on the undead dragon's magical fire.
But yeah,
just another one of them moments that seems a bit like they've gone out of the way to explain, like, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, oh, fire, just burn it down. Like, you know, like, a bit like they just couldn't think of a better way to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, he basically breaks the wall down with his blue flame, and we see Tormund and Beric running away, and they seem good, I guess.
They've made it out.
Do we think they made it out?
I think they definitely made it out, yeah.
I said to myself, I was like, oh, I really don't want Tormund to die. And then I said to myself, if there's like a longing shot on his face, he's done. And like a second later, there was a long shot on his face looking in peril. And then the wall went down. And I was like, I know you've not seen his body.
That kind of shot for me though. It's like when it's like a big scared face with the wall falling around him. That to me is just like, oh look, guess what? He's dead. And then next season he's just going to be absolutely fine. He's going to be in the black. He's
going to wake up in some snow.
He's going to be in Castle Black next episode. Yeah. Saying, oh, the undead are coming around the wall. Like, you've got no point anymore, guys. Like, you're supposed to be protecting the other side of the wall from these, but you fucking failed. Well done.
I think then sort of leg it down the wall to Castle Black and regroup there or something like that.
I think they will.
Yeah. Can we talk about the impending feeling of doom that when that wall went down and it's this dark, foggy sort of scene, and you just watch the army just start marching through this wall
it's
that's
amazing,
kept them away.
It?
Like that, like the suspense and like just in the sense of dread that's coming.
I mean, it definitely gets me really excited for next season. That like,
definitely,
I feel like I'm hoping that like this was just we will get into it in a sec actually about what we thought of the season as a whole, but like I definitely feel like this season was just a build-up season for the next one, and this end the shot for me was like, okay, this could actually be really good now because we've got this massive army traveling south of the wall, and they're going to be very soon met by the people of Winterfell and the people of the north. So I am excited to see what happens. So I think, like, are we supposed to be getting 6 episodes next season?
I think so.
But they're all supposed to be feature length, aren't they?
Mm.
So we'll have a good amount of TV next season.
Yep.
But right, that was the end shot. Anyway, any more final points on the episode before we move on?
Not for the actual episode, just the season as a whole, but not for the episode though.
I liked the episode. I thought it was a good finale. Like, Game of Thrones finales aren't generally the best episode in the season.
I disagree, because like last season was the season where Cersei blew up the sept of whatever it's called,
Baylor.
That was the finale of last season.
There's been at least 4 seasons though, where the penultimate episode has been the best episode. At
mean,
least for the first few seasons.
Last season's penultimate episode was the episode before the end, but like the finale is still really good this season. Like, we'll get into it now. We'll go into our thoughts on the season as a whole, before we get into the rating. Oh, do you want to do the ratings for the episode first?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah.
Should we rate what we thought of the episode? Do you want to go first?
I'll start. John? Very light 3 for me. 3 out of 5.
Oh, that's probably the smallest rating you've given.
It actually is, to be honest with you. Yeah.
For any episode,
I think
the whole season.
I think it deserves better than that.
I was really disappointed with a lot of the logic behind it. We mentioned a lot of theatricality that doesn't add up to me. Euron pretending to be, I'm so scared, but really he's going over there. Putting on that whole show for Littlefinger's benefit before they kill him. It's like, what's the point? Just kill him. Like, you know what I mean? It's just all that's for the audience as opposed to the character. And I don't like stuff like that. They're trying to trick the audience rather than any characters in the scene, kind of thing.
What about you, Joe? What are you rating it?
I'd give it a solid 4.
That's 4. See, like, I feel like we've come across this before, where I seem to be talking like as if I don't like the episode as much as you, but I'm probably going to rate it higher than you. I'm giving this a 4.5.
I did consider it
as an episode, but I feel like you liked the episode more than I did. Like there was a lot
Probably,
there was a lot of plot holes in it for me. Like, but we'll get onto it next anyway. The season as a whole, I thought had a lot of that in it. So,
well, I'd say as a season for the season as a whole, there was probably one 5-star episode, which for me was it episode 4, the first leaked one?
3 was it?
Yeah.
When we get the first sort of
Was it 4?
The Dragon's one, yeah.
For me, that was a 5-star episode.
That was a really good episode.
The rest of them are 4 or 5.5 for me. Like it's been a good season, but it is a build up to the final season. So you have to kind of watch it knowing that you're not watching the last lap of a race. You're watching the second to last lap of the race. So stuff's going to happen, but you're not going to get to your final destination in this season. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree that episode 4, it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the second to last episode though. I thought that was quite good in the North of the Wall. But as a season as a whole, like I feel like they just got really lazy. They didn't give a shit about. So they just like, all right, this needs to be finished now. So let's plonk this in here. This needs to be finished now. Let's plonk this in here. And they just and it felt really lazy to me as and it's not Game of Thrones that even though like you say it's the season before the last season. I feel like they've just gotten really lazy and they've gone away from what they normally do. And it's, as much as I'm excited for the next season, it gets me a bit worried that they've just gotten really, really lazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to always bang on about like the books being better than the TV show and stuff, but it feels to me since they've gone past the books, the writing just hasn't been as good as before because they had a framework to go off, and now they've got to write it themselves, and it just turns into generic TV at that point, like just like every other TV show. Whereas before it was something like special kind of thing.
I mean, I think it was a very predictable season. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing for me, that it's never been predictable, Game of Thrones. And
see, that's it for me. Like, like you could predict everything that happened in this season. Absolutely everything that happened, you could predict was going to happen.
A lot of the stuff, though, like I said, for you to build up to a final season, and you've done 7 episodes, you kind of need to fit a lot in, which they did, which, twists the time, space, like how have they travelled this far, this fast sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they've had to fit a lot into this season, and they've went round tying off as many loose ends as they can that they won't be tying off in the final season. Now, I was a fan of Lost, but when that show ended with so many loose ends, it ruined the entire show. Yeah. I'd rather watch Game of Thrones and go, right, so season 7 is where they've tied off 25% of the sort of threads. Whether they were good tie-offs or not good tie-offs, it doesn't matter. They've left the rest of it for the final season. So I'm really, really excited for the final season where it actually all gets boxed off. I don't want another show like Lost where nothing gets resolved. So I can deal with a season that's a bit more predictable than the other seasons we've had of Game of Thrones because I know it's leading to this final thing. Now, it's kind of, we've watched this now for, is it 7 years? Game of Thrones has been on now?
7 years.
6 years this year.
6 years.
Just over 6 years, yeah.
The longer it goes on, the more theories come out and the more predictable everything has to become. I feel like that you have to do something absolutely insane now for it not to have been a theory. We've covered theories on this show today that people have covered hundreds of times before. So it's like the longer the show goes on, the more predictable it gets, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, I do feel as though like they've always made, even though like there's been theories out there, they've always managed to just throw a spanner in the works and be like, right, well, this is something that you didn't expect, and we're putting that in there. And like this season, no, it's just like, well, you predicted this was going to happen. Well done, you're right. And they've just done it entire season, and I feel like...
But I mean, we spoke about it. I think they've missed a massive thing there. If they'd
killed
Jamie, I'd have been like, oh my God, like they've killed fucking Jamie. Like.
That's what I'm saying though, like, don't blow your load on the last episode of season 7. Like, it's clearly, there's a purpose for him to be alive to do something bigger in season 8.
Yeah, I'd really liked him to have died. I like the character, but I just think it would have been like a great, like, I'd have never seen that coming, you know what I mean?
It would change the dynamic, certainly, for season 8. But I like the idea that he's going to join up.
Yeah, join their army.
I like that, like, because I didn't see that at the start of the episode or the season or any other time. I never ever saw that happening. Yeah. But it's happened now. He's left like the side he's been on for 7
switch
seasons.
teams basically. Yeah.
Completely, so that's unpredictable.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
can I just jump in with a final point on the season?
Go on.
Is that what we're on about? Yeah. Like you mentioned, Lost there. See, I'm the other way. I prefer something like that. For me, it's more about the journey than the destination. Like, because you can pretty much guess where it's going to end up. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a good journey then. I wouldn't care how it ties up in terms of. But do you know what I mean? Though that's for me what I'd look for in something like that.
I think it's more about the journey, but I need it to be a nice. It needs to all make sense.
Yeah.
Which Lost didn't. Game of Thrones makes sense at the moment.
Yeah. And just one final thing, like for me, this season it's my least favourite season of all of them.
No, I agree. This is my least favourite of all.
Is it really?
Yes.
I thought 2 was pretty mundane at the time, but I think this is probably worse than Series 2. But it feels like, remember like in the old series where whenever you cut to Daenerys and she was just wasting time over the sea doing stuff, and every time you cut to her story you think, when are we just going to get into doing something important?
Yeah.
This whole season to me has felt like those Daenerys bits where it's just like nothing's happening, we're just literally just putting, like you mentioned, putting the groundwork for the finale, but you've still got to like do stuff in this series to keep people interested. It's all just felt like filler to get to the finale for me. Like
I disagree with that. I think there was enough there for it to be a competent season on its own, more than competent. I'd probably give the season a 4 out of 5 overall.
I think it's competent. I just don't think I think it's probably the worst one. Like it's still good.
See, when I look at it though, like you two are both saying it's one of the worst seasons. I kind of look at it and go, this was much better than. I can't remember the exact season, but 5 or 6, one of them dragged for me. I just couldn't.
I mean, I
get into it.
Literally a month before this season started, I like I say, rewatched it all, and I loved every one of them seasons, and I enjoyed learning everything that I've like. Because watching it season by season, like you seem to just miss out and thinking like, oh shit, like who's that then? What's going on here? But I enjoyed learning all that. But this season, like after knowing all of that, I was like, I don't care about any of it. I want to know. I want these people to fight. I want this to happen. And I just didn't get what I wanted, to be honest.
It felt like a bit of a tease the whole season.
Yeah.
Just teasing you constantly with stuff to come, kind of thing.
I mean, I disagree with the two of you on that, but
that's fair enough.
That's why I'm guesting.
We're all welcome to our opinions.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we've been going on for quite a while at this point, and it's been probably. I mean, it was the biggest episode of the season. It was 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
finale.
Like we can expect to have been talking to for a bit longer, but
season retrospective as well,
and we've had a bit of a retrospective at the end. I think unless you two have got anything else you would like to say at this point, we should probably wrap up at this point.
I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah, you're both good. Fantastic. Thanks very much for. Oh, actually, guys, we've got social media and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, have we?
We do have stuff like this.
Oh, see, every time I've listened to this show, you forgot to give the John. Actually, John, I'm looking at you here. You forgot to give the main.
Forget to get Nick to do.
Forget to give the main show away, and then Nick's always the one picking up the ball
so
that you've dropped.
I'll give it away now. Right, we've got a Twitter, which is at DSTE Podcast on Twitter. That is. We've got a Facebook, which is facebook.com/DST podcast, or just search Don't Spoil the Ending podcast in the little search bar at the top. I have my own personal one, which is at DST Nick. That's on Twitter. John, do you have it?
Yeah, I'm at Taylor1980.
I'm at it's Joe YEHITSJOE.
Any theories and any disagreements you have with us, go ahead and message us on them.
Send them to Nick and John. I won't be replying.
Just bombard with Joe with messages now at this point. That's what we're looking for. Fantastic. Anyway, I think we should wrap up the episode at this point.
Yep.
And don't know when we'll be seeing you for another Game of Thrones episode. Either a year or 2 years from now. Who knows? But we'll see you then anyway. And thanks very much for listening for this season, and it's been a pleasure. And
thanks for having me on for the finale.
That's also been a pleasure. Thanks very much for showing up.
Yeah,
I bring pleasure to all.
You do. Right. Thanks very much for listening, guys. And we'll see you again. again.
Bye.
In 2019.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.